Today we are looking at Breez Wallet, the very impressive Bitcoin Lightning Network wallet that combines flexibility with some pretty awesome trust minimization and sovereignty features. Let's dive in. Welcome back to another video. My name is Ian Major. I'm an entrepreneur, Bitcoin pleb, and all-around raging capitalist. And yes, in today's video, I'm going to be picking apart Breez Wallet. I've done a number of these videos on various Lightning wallets, typically mobile apps, right? Of which Breez is one, available for both iOS and Android. And what I typically try and look for is what are the trade-offs that they've made across what are often competing dimensions. Things like flexibility, things like trust minimization. Is it custodial or non-custodial? And so we'll get into all of that, but I think Breez has really found quite a powerful balance across some of these different trade-offs and has built a really impressive product. So I'm excited to do this video. For those returning to the channel, welcome back, my friends and fellow raging capitalists. As always, it is great to have you. And for those new to the channel, I welcome you as well. I know there are many of you, over 80% of you watching right this very second are currently not subscribed. And so if you like this content, I invite you to subscribe and join us on our merry gang in cyberspace. I cover all manner of Bitcoin related topics, the latest analysis, news, tutorials such as this one today, Lightning Wallet, smart contract functionality on Bitcoin. You name it, I cover it. And so if that sounds interesting to you, you won't want to miss a thing. With all that out of the way though, let's go ahead and jump into a brief overview of Breez before we then get into the actual walkthrough. All right, so just a really quick rundown on what I think makes Breez fairly unique. You'll see them located over at breez.technology. This is their homepage. And you can, again, download the app for either iOS or Android. If you click on their technology page, I just want to call out a few things here. So this is a Lightning wallet, right? And they use a full LSP or Lightning service provider to assist in like all the sort of setup for Lightning. If you're trying to run a Lightning node on your own, there's a lot of things you have to worry about in terms of opening payment channels, maintaining those payment channels, ensuring your node's online, working through the inbound liquidity challenge. So there's a lot of different things you have to keep in mind. Breez sort of takes a lot of that effort away. It makes it pretty seamless. Again, there are other options that do that as well, such as Blue Wallet. But one of the really interesting things about Breez is that they are non-custodial. They do provide all the different backups for your channel, and you can even have it set to be auto backing up to Google Drive or whatever web server. Of course, you can encrypt that as you would want to do. Breez includes a lot of flexibility, which is nice. So you could, while it is a Lightning wallet, you could still send funds to a on-chain Bitcoin or to a Bitcoin address through an on-chain transaction, and it'll actually convert the funds from Lightning into funds that you can use on-chain. And they make that way easier to do than, for example, in Blue Wallet, at least currently. The next really cool piece is that Breez integrates what is called Neutrino. And Neutrino was a Bitcoin improvement protocol or improvement proposal that enables what's called client-side filtering, which means for Breez, the app you're using, you can change the node that connects and sits between your app and the Bitcoin blockchain. And so this is really nice, right? Any kind of exchange, any custodial app that you're using, you're using and therefore trusting that entity's node to convey truthful information about the Bitcoin blockchain. You are trusting them to reflect the accuracy of the Bitcoin blockchain. And so what Breez allows you to do, as you'll see in the walkthrough, is to actually change that out. I believe they are supporting, any type of node, although they may still be getting there. But that's really nice, and it gives some additional flexibility that helps against this typical trade-off. Because For a mobile device, like the ideal world is one in which every individual has their own Bitcoin node that they're running everything through. Now, for a mobile device, that's not practical. Like you can't run a full node on your mobile device, at least yet. And so for a lot of these mobile apps, you typically have this trade-off. But Breez has at least enabled some of that flexibility through Neutrino, which is very cool to see. And the final piece I just want to highlight in this overview is they are clearly pressing hard into the sort of merchant space, which is really cool to see. And so you'll see some of the functionality in the app, but they basically help merchants who, again, a merchant is just, it could be a coffee shop, it could be whatever, selling goods and services, to turn their mobile device into a Bitcoin accepting vehicle, which is very, very cool. So Breez is clearly spending time and attention trying to think of how to enable more and more merchants to accept Bitcoin as payment. So with that rundown, again, I think Breez has done a lot of really cool things there. Let's jump in and actually see what it looks like. All right, so important note, if you are using at least an iOS device, I'm not sure if it's the same thing with Android, but Breez is still in public beta. So that means that it is available, but it is still early. So do be advised of that. I would generally say the same thing for really any of these implementations. Don't put a whole bunch of funds on Breez or any mobile wallet for that matter. But what you'll want to do is go to breez.technology, as you can see here, and you'll hit download on the App Store, and it will take you to Test Flight. So if you don't have Test Flight downloaded, do that. Go get Test Flight, and then it will bring this link up, and you'll say accept and install. And so I'll come right back once this is done. All right, so there we go. So I'm going to open Breez for the very first time. You'll see just a quick note from the developer. Fine. I'll hit next. It gives you some instructions on how to share feedback. Again, as part of the public beta, I'll start testing. And I'll hit Let's Breez. Now, do note you do have this restore from backup option. So you can bring in a different wallet if you would like. But let's go ahead and start from scratch. So let's Breez. Beta warning, since Breez is still in beta, there's a chance your money will be lost. Use this if you're only willing to take this risk. I understand. We wouldn't want to put a lot in any mobile app anyway. Hit continue. I'll allow notifications, that is fine. All right, and so we can see that Breez is ready to receive funds. I've got our classic send and receive buttons at the bottom. I also have a QR code scanner, right? So it would like access to the camera. And so it pulls up camera. And then I've got my little wallet icon at the top left. So right now I'm a silver fox. That's pretty deep jab, Breez. But in any case, we can change that name and an image. So let's do Rager Major. You could choose you could upload a pic if you want. You do have the light mode, dark mode. Dark mode looks pretty slick. I'm going to keep it dark mode. And then we've got a couple other pieces here. So podcast, which is really interesting. Point of sale, which is very interesting. And a few other bits. So we're actually going to come back to this and talk about some of these pieces later. Although I do want to just mention in this preferences menu, you can change a couple different things. You can specify which fiat currencies you would like to be able to toggle through. And so there's a bunch of them here. The top 4 are selected by default. And so you can toggle any of these as you see fit. Go back to preferences here. Importantly, the network goes to show you that neutrino piece, which is BIP157. And so this is showing you the node that you are using that sits between the app and the Bitcoin blockchain. And so it's one of Breez's nodes, right? Which makes sense as the default. But if you so choose, you can change this to your node, to a different provider, etc. So it does give you that flexibility, which is nice. That's a much more advanced topic that I won't cover in the scope of this video, but I wanted to call it out. The last point, I keep having to kind of go into preferences here. Okay, so security and backup is a really important piece. I'm actually getting just a blank screen when I click that. So that's not great. I'll definitely send feedback on that. And so let's now go through how to receive some funds. So you can see that this is denominated in sats, but I can click this balance to change to different denominations. Again, a sat or a Satoshi is the smallest unit of Bitcoin, 100 million sats in every Bitcoin. But let's go ahead and receive some funds. Now you can see that there's 3 different options. Receive via an invoice. So this is nomenclature within the Lightning Network. And so the Lightning Network operates by creating an invoice for a specified amount and then another participant paying that invoice that has been created. You can also receive from a regular Bitcoin address. So this is nice that Breez allows for this flexibility. You can receive funds either through from a Lightning wallet or a regular Bitcoin wallet, and it will translate that into Lightning funds, even if it's coming from a regular Bitcoin wallet. Or you can buy Bitcoin and top up using a debit card, which is very nice. So for our purposes of this walkthrough, we're going to use an invoice. So I'll go ahead and hit receive via invoice. Now this gives me a description and an amount in sats that I would like to receive. Again, you can change this to dollars or however you want to kind of visualize and denominate what's happening. But let's say in terms of sats, I want maybe 10,000 sats, right? And I can put a description in if I wish. Note in the top right that you also have the ability to scan QR codes directly from these different options. So that is nice. But let's go ahead and create this invoice. And so you can now see I've got an invoice. It does say a setup fee of 2,000 sats is applied to this invoice. Keep Breez open until the payment is completed. I'm not really sure what that setup fee is. I'm assuming it is for creating the actual payment channel. And so we'll test this out in just a moment and see if we get that same setup fee. I'm assuming we would not. I'm assuming, again, this is just to help open the actual channel, given this is my very first transaction to this wallet. But let me go ahead and I can either, if I had another device or someone else was paying me, they could scan this QR code. I can also click this in the top right to copy. So it says invoice data was copied to your clipboard. Now I'm going to use a different wallet on my phone called Blue Wallet. I've done a whole video on that as well. I really, really love Blue Wallet too, to facilitate this transaction. So I'm going to come over and go to my Blue Wallet. Now, Blue Wallet will automatically detect, as you can see, that you have a Lightning invoice on your clipboard. Would you like to use it for a transaction? I'll hit OK. And as we can see, here's 10,000 sats. There's the estimated fee, pretty negligible. And so I'll hit pay. Okay, so it says payment is in transit. And so essentially this helps confirm my hypothesis earlier. Because this is the very first transaction going to my Breez wallet, I'm assuming what's happening is that a payment channel is being created behind the scenes, which requires, of course, an on-chain transaction to confirm that. And so we'll go ahead and wait a little bit for that to complete. All right, so that actually only took a moment or two. I am now back in Breez, and I've received my payment that I just sent, minus the 2,000 sats for the setup fee. It prompts me with this backup. I don't know if that was triggered by just doing a transaction, but it says if you want to be able to restore your funds in case this mobile device or this app are no longer available, you are required to back up your information. Okay, so this is what I was trying to do and show earlier. Hopefully it works this time. So I'll say backup now. And as you can see, it gives me an option, whether it's iCloud or Google Drive, in which to back up my data. I'm going to click Google Drive, and then I'll sign in using whatever credentials I would like to use. Okay, so I basically gave it the required permissions. Let's see if that actually changes. So if I go back to preferences, security and backup. Okay, so interesting. That does seem like a little bug. I couldn't initially get to this security and backup, but after it prompted me, and I actually set it up for the first time, now it is showing correctly. So there you have it. So I've selected for it to be the backup to be stored in my Google Drive. I'm going to absolutely encrypt that backup, which you absolutely want to do. And so it's going to now show me a list of words, which I will write down. Okay, and then it does a little quiz to check that you actually wrote it down. And then that's it. So we've encrypted our backup. We've chosen where it's going to back up. We can also create a PIN. I would definitely recommend you doing this as well. All right, and then once you've put in a PIN and activated that, it will have a couple other features that get put up. Lock automatically, so you can specify that. And then you can also enable Touch ID as well if you would like. So nice. So that's the solving the mystery there. Now, let's just really quick go back and create that's just another invoice. Let's create this one for 5,000 and hit create. And so there you go. So confirmation that very first invoice, that setup fee, was to create the payment channel. And now I don't see that setup fee, and so the only fees would be for Lightning itself. So there you go. We've now received some funds to our Breez wallet. And we've set up our backup. Now let's take a look at sending, and so it's pretty easy. You can see that you can paste an invoice in, or a node ID. So this is another way to identify essentially addresses in the Lightning Network. I'll go through these other options as well. But let's say I'm going to paste an invoice in. And so I choose this option, and now I'm going to go back over to my Blue Wallet. I'm just going to create an invoice. So I'll say receive, and let's do 1,000 sats. Okay. So now I'll hit create invoice. I've got my Lightning invoice. I will copy this. And I'll come over, and it automatically pastes this in. You are requested to pay 1,000 sats. I approve. Okay, so there it goes, and we can see the notice at the top as well from Blue Wallet that the invoice has been paid. So that's great. We've received some funds. We've sent some funds. Let me just comment quickly on these other methods by which you can send. So you can say connect to pay. And this is pretty cool. Like if I was literally in close proximity to another user, a friend, whatever, I could, share information that way. And they would be able to click a link, and we'd be able to kind of create a payment that way. You can also send to a Bitcoin address. Now, this is nice. There's a lot of questions that often come up with Lightning wallets around how do I get my funds out of Lightning if I need it to go to a regular Bitcoin address through an on-chain transaction. There are some apps, in fact, Blue Wallet is one of them, that makes that a little challenging. You kind of have to dig around and manage your Lightning funds and use an external service to translate your Lightning funds into funds that you can send directly to a wallet on chain. Now, Breez is still using a service to do that, but they at least embed it all within the app. So if I say send to Bitcoin address, and right now it's saying once all my channels are confirmed. So again, this is channel openings and closings have to settle to the actual blockchain. So once that actually happens, I'd be able to send to a regular Bitcoin address. Now, the thing I wanted to just call out on this is if you're doing this, you will see a pretty large sort of fee associated with that. And so it remains to be seen how that will play out over time as there's more and more kind of providers in this kind of service space of translating Lightning funds to, regular, or to Bitcoin that can be sent to a regular Bitcoin address. But I did want to mention that you will see a very chunky fee if you are attempting to send from your Lightning wallet in Breez to a regular Bitcoin address. All right, so we've received some funds, we've sent some funds. I think it's nice they give the transparency on exactly what the fees were for each of these transactions that's showing up in the middle. But to round things out, I just want to show a few other pieces if we go to this wallet icon in the top left. So outside of balance, we have these three other components. So let's just quickly take a peek at each of them. Podcast is something very new that Breez has announced. And so they are essentially using the Lightning Network to support podcasts. And so imagine being able to subscribe and pay for podcasts that you want to access and being able to stream sats as payment in precise accordance with how much you've actually watched, which is really, really cool, right? There's lots of constructs, whether it's podcasts or otherwise, that are more of a subscription model where you're paying some amount up front, and then hopefully you consume like what you feel is worthwhile for what you're paying. Whereas Lightning, in allowing for these sort of instantaneous value exchanges, can support really interesting use cases such as streaming content and kind of paying for that in real time in a stream of sats. So very, very cool. I haven't explored this at all, but it looks like there are some different podcasts supported here. So that's very, very cool. So we can check that out a bit more later. Point of sale is another very, very cool one. So this essentially turns your mobile device into a device that can accept Bitcoin payments. So for example, let's say that I'm a little shop. I'll come over to my items here. You can hit the little plus icon at the bottom right and add in different items. So for example, let's get a little creative. Maybe we do tiers of fiat economists. So there you go. You can get your very own jar of tiers, and you can put in a SKU ID that aligns with my inventory system, and we can price that. And so these are pretty rare tiers. So I'm gonna go for 100,000. Actually, they're not very rare, but still they command quite a premium, quite a nice collectible. And so that's that. So let's add this in and add this as an item. And you can see that I now have this in my sort of inventory list. I can add another one, and so on and so forth. And so when someone is sort of checking out, you can add in, maybe they bought 2 jars of Fiat Economist tiers. And so now they've got their little shopping cart, and then I can charge them for the appropriate amount of sats. Now you can see that setup fee is once again back, given the way that these payment channels work. But basically, someone who was in my shop could then scan the QR code and pay the invoice. So very, very cool. I'm assuming that this is kind of a pretty bare bones version of their POS sort of support. If you go on their website, there's a business tab where they say, you know, contact us. And I imagine that has more sophisticated capabilities, like being able to actually integrate a proper list of SKUs and pricing and all that good stuff. So very, very cool to see. And I mean, look, this can turn, you know, anyone's side hustle or small business into a Bitcoin accepting entity. So very, very cool stuff. The very last piece I want to mention is just this app section. This simply goes to a couple different ways that you can spend your funds or use your funds. So some of the standard names here, you know, you've got Bitrefill, which is gift cards, pizza, many others as well. Light Night is games. So a couple different pieces there. So there you have it. Let's go ahead and now wrap this video up. All right, my friends, there you have it. Just as a quick recap, we talked about Breez and some of the different features they've built in to nicely balance flexibility, right? This is a Lightning wallet, but you can use it to send to and from regular Bitcoin addresses, as well as, you know, some of these sovereignty and trust minimization elements, whether that's using Neutrino to allow for you to put in a different node than what is going to be used as a default. And so I really do think Breez has done some very cool things and are clearly leading the charge in terms of enabling merchants to accept Bitcoin as payments. And so I'm really excited to see how Breez and other providers evolve that space in particular. But what do you think? I hope you found this valuable and useful. If you did, you already know what to do. Give this video a like, comment down below with your thoughts. Let me know what topics or themes you'd like to see in future videos. I really do take that into account when making the schedule for the channel. But for now, we're going to go ahead and leave this video here. As always, every sat counts. Until next time, you guys, I'll see you then.